Absolutely. You came out as MC Lakim. Was We Got the Funk your first time on wax?
Yes. Yeah, we got the funk. That was the first single that me and 45 King had made. Yes.
What do you remember most about that recording process?
About that recording process, it was simple. Like with me, 45 King nicknamed me One Take. I've been in the studio with many artists and I've seen artists have to get punched in through an entire song. Whereas with me, I always concentrated on when I go in this booth, I'm gonna knock it out. You're not gonna have to punch me in like that. No, I'm gonna go in here and knock it out. So the recording process for that song was simple. You know, he gave me the beat, I wrote it, we went in the studio, knocked it out, maybe one take, he mixed it down, and that was that.
What do you remember most about that reaction when it hit the streets?
Oh man, the feeling, it's like it's an unbelievable feeling, man. It's hard to describe when you hear yourself on the radio after growing up listening to all of these different records. And I'm talking about I've been in hip hop since its inception. You talking about from Sugar Hill Gang, Jekyll and Hyde when they was young, when Running Them first came out. LL first drop. I'm talking Boogie Boys, Disco 4, you name it, Punkin' and the All Stars. It's so much in this head when it comes to hip hop that when I heard myself, unbelievable. It was just an unbelievable thing. I'm like, wow, I'm actually on the radio, yo. Red Alert playing my song. Marley Marl is playing my song. So that was great to me, man. That's like the ultimate accomplishment for any MC, especially back then. To have Red Alert play your joint or Marley Marl, what?
Right.
Ultimate feeling.
So, at what point after that single drops are we discussing the debut album by Lakim?
Uh, maybe about, hmm, we started working on the album maybe about 2 or 3 months after that, after We Got the Funk came out. And I went through that album in like 2 weeks. 45 King, something else. He was like, wow, you not playing? I'm like, no. Every time he gave me a beat, so like if he gave me a beat tonight, I came back to him tomorrow. That song was done. We going in the studio. I'm not playing. So
Right.
the Pure Righteousness was actually recorded in a 2 week period.
Wow. What was
Two
going
weeks.
on with the other MCs around this time? You mentioned Chill Rob G and a few other MCs at the same
They
time
were
record.
working on their own music and showing support. We always support each other. That's one thing I love about Flavor Unit MCs. We've always supported each other. No matter who is in the studio, we going. Latifah in the studio, we going. She our sister. She might need a verse here and there. Not that she don't pin her own. However, I've pinned for Latifah. Apache has pinned for Latifah. I've also pinned for Apache, and he's pinned for me. I think Tretch has pinned for Latifah as well. You know, she's our sister. So even if she was to call me now, like Lock, I need a rhyme, I'm gonna give it to her. No
Right.
holds barred, straight up.
So, what do you remember
But
most
that's
about?
basically what's going on. When I was working on my album, they was working on music as well.
Right. What do you remember most about the studio sessions for Pure Righteousness?
Hmm. 45 King smoking me out. 45 King smoking me out. Yeah. Pure Righteousness sessions was cool though. One thing I could say, I got visitors here and there. However, it wasn't a lot of people. I don't like to have a lot of people in the studio with me when I'm recording. I don't. I'll bring the crew in once it's done, and I'll let them critique it from there. But while I'm working, nah, I don't need a lot of people around me. It becomes a distraction to me personally. I like to lock in and focus on what I'm doing with no distractions, and we get it out the way real quick.
Right. What do you remember most about the video shoot for Pure Righteousness?
For Pure Righteousness, well, actually, I did like two videos for Pure Righteousness. One was done up at City College at a African fashion show, and we did another low budget Pure Righteousness video down in Weekway Park. Those videos never really came out like that,
Hmm.
but what I do remember from it, I had a real good time up at City College that day. That was real nice. Yeah.
When that album dropped in '88, what do you remember most about the response and reviews for your debut album?
Well, I the one thing that stick with me to this day, I received a poster from London, England, with my album cover on it, and it said Lakim Shabazz, #1 selling import. So that was like the greatest thing to me. I'm like, wow, I have the #1 selling import in London, England right now. And to this day, I never performed there. I would love to perform there. I performed in Germany. I performed in Paris. I've been to Kemet. I performed in Japan, Canada, all around North America, Cali, different places. But I never performed in London, England. So that's on my radar, definitely.
Right. You dropped in such a monumental year, 1988. Were you a part of any tours, a tour lineup, a favorite memory around that time that you can remember?
Nah, not no major. Nah, I wasn't on no major tours, but we did shows all year round though. No tours though. Nah. Mm-mm. Only time I touched the tour was just in support of like Latifah or Naughty.
Right.
Definitely.
Was there anything you would have changed about that debut album?
No. Nope. Now that I think about it, no. There's nothing I would have changed about it. I think had I took more time, it probably would have came out better. But I wouldn't change anything about it. Nah.
Right.
I like
Uh,
the response. To this day, people look at it as a classic, and I'm grateful. To be referred to as a legend and only have two albums, it's just overwhelming to me. I was up at XM Radio with this crew from out here from North called the 050 Boys, and I was just up there to support them. I did a couple of different songs with them. And the first thing when we walk in the room, first thing out Premier Mouth, he's like, "Oh, y'all got the legend with y'all." So that's overwhelming to me to only
right.
have two albums, and for someone like Premier to refer to me as a legend, that's respect right there, you know. And I
Right.
knew them before they was even Gangstar. We got a lot of history, man. 45 King, I think, produced their first single. It was called Bust the Move Boy. At that time, I was calling him Chris, and we would call Guru Keepy. They're my peoples. I got a
Right.
lot of history with them. They whole crew. I love all of them. J. Rue the Damager. Peace to all my brothers from the East.
No doubt. Around this
Definitely.
time, are you frequently in any areas like Union Square or Latin Quarters?
Well, at that time, Union Square Latin Quarters, once my music came out, those spots wasn't open. But we used to go to the spot called the Powerhouse. The Powerhouse was real big back then, like 89, 90. Yeah. I think it was on 23rd Street in Manhattan. The Powerhouse, Red Zone, all these different spots I used to go to, definitely. Mars on West Side Highway. I remember we rocked Zulu Nation anniversary there one year. Um, all around, man. SOBs, all of these different spots, definitely. The Muse, so many different clubs in New York. I can't even name them all. I remember when Puff used to have parties at the Red Zone. Yep. I remember when Biggie was about to come out, Puff sent me the demo of his album. Now I did it had snippets of each song on it, but that was special to me to see how big got and to
Right.
know that Puff had me on the dial, like, yo, here, check this out. Definitely. Yeah, he used to promote a lot of parties though.
Oh,
Definitely.
I believe you had a single called "Your Arms Are Too Short to Box with God" on the B side of "Pure Righteousness." Why didn't that B side be included on the album?
That song came after the album was done.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just a extra single or something that we wanted to work on. So that song was actually recorded after that album was finished.
Okay.
A lot of people
Once that,
like that song.
yeah, for sure. Once that album does, once that debut album does its thing, where does Lakim find itself?
Being a family man, definitely. Because at the same time, when my album dropped, my son was born. So, it's one thing to be this MC and, want this glamour or what have you, the fame and the respect that come with that. But at the same time, I had to buckle down and realize you're a father. You got to take care of this little one right here. So, it was more so of a thing with learning the business. This was at a time learning what type of deal I had signed, getting with entertainment lawyers, seeing what I could do to possibly get up out of there. But I ended up doing another album. I ended up recording a lot for Tough City. I think I recorded maybe over 3 albums worth of material for Tough City. Two of them came out as an album. The other ones is just different, little singles here and there, spread it around. But yeah, life was pretty good, man. To After the response of my first album, I was eager to work on a new one. Very eager to work on another one. And this was at a time where um I think Apache was about to get his deal. Naughty had just came on board. By the time I started working on Lost Tribe of Shabazz, because I remember Need Some Lovin' is the first song that I ever produced. And I invited KG and Vin Rock to that session. And once I did it, the track and everything, I came out the booth. I looked at K. I looked at Vinny. I'm like, what y'all think? They looked at each other, looked at me like, yo, God, that shit is dope. So that was solidification right there. Had a lot of fun at Naughty Sessions, man. That's actually Tupac used to be there a lot. Whenever Tupac came out here, he would stay at the Parker Meridian. He would call Tretch, he would call Apache. We would meet him at the Parker Meridian, and he was the shit, man. I like being around him because he was very good at imitating different actors. Him and Latifah actually. When we used to go to the basement up on Stuyvesant, Latifah was very good at imitating. She could speak like a Jamaican woman, anybody. So even back then, I was like, you know what? You're gonna be a good actress. She used to be playing though, but I saw it. Just like with Pop, when we in the studio, I'm like, Pop, talk like Tony Montana. And he always do that to me, be kicking it all like Tony Montana. And I told him, I was like, yo, you gonna be big in movies as well. I saw it back then. Next thing you know, about a year later, here we go. Juice. Yep. Both of
Wow.
them was in there. I was actually in the movie Juice too. They decided to cut my part out at the end. I was a drug dealer. I think me and Eric Sermon were drug dealers in that movie, and they
Oh,
cut my part out.
what
Yeah,
what
but
city?
I was in the trailer a couple of days. I was in the trailer. Me, Tretch, and Tupac, definitely.
Wow, what scene was that going to be in around what part of the movie, or do you?
I was in the pool room. The
Okay,
little spot where they
Samuel
be in that
Jackson.
pool room. And I had walked up to Omar Epps with a bag of crack and shit and asked him, yo, you looking for whatever, whatever. And they decided to cut that part out. Yep.
Oh,
But I was on the set of Juice, definitely.
no doubt. You and Mark the 45 King released "When a Wise Man Speaks" in '89. Was that for his project or just some singles you guys were throwing out at the time?
Just another one of them singles. I was just building with you about trying to get as much done for Tough City as I can that I was obligated to do.
Right. What do you remember most about laying vocals for the 900 number?
Oh wow. I That was a surprise. I never really wanted the rhyme to that actually. It was a surprise. Mark threw it on. He was like, yo, I just want you to rhyme to this. You the only one that can because you signed to Tough City. So I was like, all right, no problem. I rhymed to it. The posse is large, and that was that. But I'm grateful to be the only MC to actually rhyme to that. DJ
Right.
Cool did it years later. However, I actually rhymed to it.
Okay.